So this video is meant to help you sort of power through that iPad 101 checklist. First of all, I apologize if the screen is a little bit hard to see. I'm basically taking a picture of a picture here, but you can see my iPad on the screen. And to start, I just want you to be aware of the orientation here of my iPad. The home button is the only real button, is right here on the side of the screen. The only other button that is ever referred to besides the touching of the actual screen is the power button, which is directly across from the home button up here at the top of the iPad by the camera. So your iPad will automatically sort of flip around or reorient itself when you flip the screen around. If you don't want it to do that, you can see right now I have mine locked. If you don't want it to do that, it's a quick, simple double tap of this home button over here. So if I double tap it, you'll see this access bar pop up at the bottom. And then if you take your finger again and just slide this over to the right, on the far side, you'll see this lock sign because I have my orientation locked. You can unlock it, and then your entire screen will reorient whenever you turn your iPad around. I don't like it to do that. It actually becomes kind of a pain, especially if you are projecting, because every time you turn the screen, it changes the orientation. So I double click this home button, slide it, and lock the orientation into place so that it won't turn at all. It'll just stay locked in whatever way it's oriented to begin with. A couple other things you can do if you go back to that home button and double click it, this sort of taskbar pops up at the bottom, and that's where you'll see the apps that you have open. So like I was just checking my Facebook, and then I was clicking the settings for that orientation, and that's my app store app. Once you open them, they're always open, and that actually eats up your battery if you don't eventually double click this home button again and close them out. So in order to do that, once this taskbar is up at the bottom, if you press and hold down on the apps, they'll kind of start to wiggle around, which again might be a little bit difficult to see, but they are wiggling, and you'll see little X's up by them, so you can actually X out of it. So then when you X out of them, they're not eating up any of your memory, and then all your apps are officially closed out. Alright, so a couple other simple steps. Again, if you take that same idea that if you press and hold any of your apps that you already have on here, they'll start to wiggle around. You'll notice that some of them do not wiggle at all, and some of them have no X's at all. That means they're not able to be deleted. So if there's an X, for example, up by Facebook and YouTube app there, those I could actually delete from my iPad. Another thing to note is once you've downloaded an app like Facebook or YouTube or whatever, even if I click this X and delete it, it's never gone forever, if that makes sense. You can always put it back on the iPad. So it's really not deleting it forever. It's just taking it off the iPad right now. When you set up an iTunes account, it downloads all your apps into the iCloud, so they're always there. They just might not be on the device. So if you accidentally delete it, it's no big deal. You can always go back and put it back on. And then if they're wiggling around, the other thing you can do, which I suggest doing, is move them around so that it makes more sense to you where they belong. So that's just me holding and sliding the app around. If I go to the other screens that I have, there's still apps wiggling. And then if you see, I've got some folders where I have the same types of apps all put together. So that would be like what I use for entertainment, travel, and games. If you simply tap and hold one of the apps and drag it on top of another app, it creates that said folder for then you would name and do whatever you want if you want to put them all in the same folder. Or you don't have to put it in the folder. You can take it out of the folder, or you can put something into an already existing folder, again, just by holding it there, and it will go into that folder, or again, take it out of the folder and put it there. So you can play around and organize them as you want. And then this bottom row down here is kind of like your home row. You can move anything out of there that you don't want in there, or put anything in there that you do want in there. Those apps just remain the same no matter what screen you're on. So if I keep scrolling back and forth, the apps down here are still at the bottom. So eventually, once you get more and more apps, you're going to want to take some more time to organize them. And to stop them all from wiggling, I'm just going to press this home button over here and they'll all settle back into their places. All right, moving on. So a couple other things you might have seen me using are what are referred to on your iPad 101 checklist as those like multitasking gestures, because ultimately you can use your hands to do a lot of the things that you would touch on the side of the screen. In order to do that, you do have to have some apps open. So if you go to apps that you have open up on your screen, I know it's hard to see, but it's more about the idea that you multitask with just your hands. You can do the same thing with the buttons on the screen, but there's what's called a 4-finger swipe. So if I put 4 fingers on the screen and swipe up, you'll see that bar appear. The same results occurred if you double tap this home key, but it's just a multitasking gesture. If you touch the screen, that goes away. And 4 fingers will also allow you to swipe in between apps that are already open. So anything that I saw down in this bar, I can now literally swipe between so that I can quickly change between apps if I want to get back and forth. And then the final sort of multitasking gesture is what's called the 5-finger close. So I can take all 5 of my fingers on the screen, and if I just close them, the whole thing will go away. So if you go back to and it closes and goes to your home screen, that same result will occur. So I could either take my 5 fingers and swipe it and get the home screen, or if I'm on an app and I just touch this home button, it'll take me to the home screen too. So those are just some fun little multitasking gestures that you can use on your iPad. One of the last things I'm going to talk about in this video is the idea of getting all these apps and downloading them, managing them, controlling them, whatever you like. In order to do that, you need to go to the App Store. So it's like the A with the circle. Mine's down here. Yours might be somewhere else. Once you're in the App Store, there's this bar across the bottom with all of your options. Now, by default, if you've never been there, the featured page is probably what has popped up. So these are like the featured apps for you to browse through. Up at the top, you'll see categories. I only ever look at the education one because that's really what we're all here for. So you can automatically go to that one. This is just to browse and find the apps. We've given you a list of some apps that we want you to download. So all you need to do for that is to go up here to this little search bar and then type in the name of the apps that you're looking for, and then when you're looking for them, they'll pop up and you can download them there. Most of them are free. I wouldn't suggest paying a lot of money for any app. I think 2 of the ones on that list are going to cost money. In order to do that, you're going to have to know how to redeem your iTunes gift card on this App Store. So again, if you're in the App Store and you're on this home featured page, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a button that says redeem. It's kind of hard to see on my screen, but it says redeem down there. So that's where you're going to redeem any gift cards in order to pay for your iTunes apps if they require to be paid for. If you don't have to pay for them, there's no need to use this. It'll just tell you they're free. You'll tap them and download them. They may require you to input your Apple ID password, but you already have to have an Apple account set up to be in the App Store because that's what you're purchasing things with. Once you have apps downloaded, obviously they appear on your screen. If you've never used them before, they have a little banner on them that says new, so you'll know what the new ones are, and they always get added to the end of your apps pages. The last thing that you need to be able to do in the App Store is update the app. So you'll see this last button over here says updates. And I don't have any updates available, but if you do, they would appear here, and there will simply be a button that says to update all of them. When you have those updates, you don't have to ever go checking for them. There's a little red badge with a number that will appear right here on your App Store. That's a notification. Sometimes they're called push notifications, meaning that they're just going to push those notifications out to you. You don't have to go looking for them. Those notifications you can control. So again, even if you clicked no, you don't want push notifications, and then you realize that you do, you can always go back and change that. So that's the final thing to show you, is how to fix your notification settings or adjust them. If I just go to the settings icon, the part that I'm looking for is the notifications right here. So when I click on notifications, I'm sorry, I know it's hard to see, but it'll be easier on your screen. These are the apps you have downloaded that are in the notification center. So here, if it says that they're in them, that means that these ones are going to send me notifications. So they're going to push those out to me, so I don't have to go looking to see if there's updates to like Facebook, or when I get a message, it'll just be sent to me. If I scroll down, these are the apps that are not in my notification. Yours will be different, but this means that like if Kayak has a notification for me, it's not going to send me a push notification. I'm going to have to actually go to Kayak and figure it out. I can easily change that by clicking on it and saying that I want it to be in my notifications, but I don't. So that notification setting is something you can very quickly change. In general, there's really no way to mess up on the iPad. It's not that you're going to delete information, because nothing's stored on here. It's all out in the cloud or on the device. So you can always go back and fix it. We can always troubleshoot. I hope this video is a nice start to helping you troubleshoot some things. There will be more to come, and then we'll figure out what we need more help with in terms of iPad 101 and the checklist that you were given is concerned.